Hello, and welcome to the street. This is a foundation tutorial in business engineering. And specifically, the banking case study, part 3.
Hello. Jeff again. Yes, I'm still bossing these robots on the street. And want to introduce you to the banking case study, part 3. This is for the cash and cow widget trading project, and we start here with the concept stage of that project. As always, we start with basic principles. And one principle often overlooked is the notion of proper project conception. As I hope you will see, correct conception is vital to a successful outcome. The concept stage is where the project is first considered. And if it goes wrong, then nothing else can, by definition, be right. There are some variants on the term concept, such as the conception, or the conceive stage. These all mean the same thing. This concept notion is an extremely powerful one, because it is where ideas begin to take shape as reality. Bad concept is invariably followed by a bad outcome. The definition of the concept stage, then, is the stage of any job, where ideas are formulated as a project development strategy. The inputs to this stage are ideas and concepts. And the output is a development strategy, that we will define, later, and we can consider two views of this strategy. The executive view, and the analyst's view. The executive view might be, in round terms, where are we now, and where are we going? As a business analyst, you need the details, so you are seeking to establish the current state, often called the as-is situation, and we can now ask why this project is being considered. And there are only 3 realistic scenarios. The first is to seize an opportunity, the second is to solve one or more problems, and the third is because it is mandated. A mandated project is one we must do to comply, for example, with a new tax regulation. We also need a management mandate to proceed with the project, so even non-mandated projects must have a mandate. You can see more on how these 3 items interact, under the Logical Arguments tab, on the thread, next to where you found this video. Our first task, then, is to define the opportunity we are chasing, the problems we are attempting to solve, and the mandate we have been given. We can then determine the objectives we are chasing, and validate these. Objectives are a vital part of the concept stage, because we must know what we are trying to achieve before we go much further. In fact, if the opportunity, the problems, the objectives or the mandate are invalid, we cannot proceed with any confidence. And we cannot take these things for granted. Barriers are those things that prevent us achieving our objectives, so we must identify these. And here we must note the difference between a problem and a barrier. A problem is a current business issue that the project is designed to solve, and a barrier is an obstacle to our achieving the required outcome. These are not the same thing. These, then, are the items that reflect the current state, all of which are deliverables of the concept stage, and this stage is one of discovery. And here to tell you about this is my ever-squabbling pair of junior robots, Harry and James.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, I'm Harry, the general-purpose genius robot here on the street. And here to help me is my young, less qualified nerdbot colleague, James.
James here. I'm programmed to deliver highly technical or deeply philosophical material that my older colleagues don't necessarily understand.
And now we discuss certainty of outcome. That is, the degree of alignment, at any given time, between what the business expects and what we are actually delivering.
True certainty, of course, would be a 100% alignment between expectation and outcome. And the term delivering is an important one, because the delivery process takes as long as the project, and we are only in the conception stage right now.
And the delivery process starts right here, in the concept stage of the job. And your job as the business analyst is to determine the current state, as set out by Jeff. If we miss any of these items, we are unlikely to deliver in full what the customer wants.
And our task to deliver 100% alignment will become increasingly difficult as we move into later stages of the project, because all errors are carried forward, and amplified. So if we get this wrong, nothing that follows can be right. But if we get it right, we can then compile a plan, a cost estimate, and we have a development strategy.
And at that point, we have completed the stage, and can move on to the next one.
But no matter how good we are, and how valid these deliverables, there will still be issues. Because, we can't always deliver exactly what the customer wants. Some things cannot be done at all, or cannot be done economically. And the concept stage is where we find out.
What's needed then, is an agreement on an acceptable solution, at an acceptable cost, and in an acceptable time frame. So long as we have this agreement, we can proceed with confidence. But without it, we encounter the phenomenon we term the certainty gap.
This is the difference between what we think the customer wants, and what he actually wants. And it happens more often than you might think. We can express this gap as the difference, at any given time, between what the business is expecting, and what we are delivering. The certainty gap is a product of uncertainty, or in other words, risk. So risk is something we can never lose sight of.
Risk is the most important single consideration on any change project. Yet, if risk is considered at all, it is often too little, too late.
Yes. When you start a project, you know nothing about it. You learn more and more until, at the end, you know everything you can know. But that's too late.
Uncertainty, or risk, is a factor of what you do not know. And what you don't know has the potential to bite you, if you let it.
Discovery, then, is the key mechanism in avoiding risk. And the earlier you can discover something, the less risk you run. It's really very simple.
Certainty of outcome then, begins with discovery. And discovery starts at the concept stage, with you, the business analyst. And with that, it's goodbye from my underling James. And from me also. Here's Jeff again. Bye.
Hello. Without an acceptable level of certainty, businesses would not be built, money would not be lent, and the world could not work as it does. This, then, is the first in a number of key principles we will introduce here. Certainty of outcome is the fundamental consideration in all change projects. But there is no such thing as complete certainty in project terms, only degrees of it. So managers have become increasingly concerned with this uncertainty, and the risk these change projects pose to the well-being of their businesses.
Forgive the interruption, but I'm good with figures. And the risk is considerable. Statistically, only a small percentage of projects deliver 100% of the expected benefit, and many produce no benefit at all.
Yes, James. That's all for now. Given this track record, managers have grown skeptical of promises made at the start of projects. The concept stage, that is, as Harry and James demonstrated, you are one of the first links in the chain of development that delivers the customer's vision of the future, and here to continue this thread is the googie-eyed doll bot we all call Janine.
Hello, Janine here. Between you and I, perhaps Jeff needs a good servicing. But down to business. And a recap of some basic principles. And here I'll introduce our aspiring BA to keep us amused. Firstly, certainty of outcome is paramount in all change projects. Without it, there is no project, no business, and no business analyst. Secondly, the uncertainty gap is the difference between what the customer expects and what is currently being delivered. It is, in effect, a gap in understanding. Thirdly, the uncertainty gap often opens in the concept stage, when the customer expectation is first formed. This, then, is the most important project stage of all. 4. All errors are carried forward to later stages. So what we get wrong here can only get worse, never better, so the uncertainty gap will tend to widen with time because, while the customer's expectation remains constant, the project moves along on a misunderstanding. Next, we can see that discovery is the only means of narrowing the gap between expectation and likely outcome, but though discovery can detect any gap, it does not repair it. Only corrective action can do that. And if the gap is discovered too late, it will certainly become irreparable, except at prohibitive cost. For more on this, see the project management materials. Food for thought, then. And with that, it's back to Jeff.
Thank you, Janine. Always a pleasure to see my subordinates getting on well. And let me reintroduce my other junior robotic colleagues, Harry and James.
It's been a pleasure. Always happy to help with any intellectually challenging concepts.
And for anything James isn't qualified to handle, I'll be happy to help.
And with that, it's goodbye from us all. To see how you get on with Joe Numbers and the widget trading project team, see the banking case study, part 4. Bye for now.
Don't forget to see the other videos. Goodbye for now, from everyone on the street.